we're talking about summertime, we're talking about warm water, not as many cold fronts. So let's get to it. Number one is the deep diving crankbait. I like the Spro Little John Deep DD70 or the DD60. This is the DD60. If you put it on mono, it gets down to like, this will get down to 14 feet. Supposedly the 70 will get down to 16 to 18 feet on mono. I run them both off 12-pound fluorocarbon just because the bass are so strong offshore. But the idea with deep diving crankbaits is that you want to be in some depth. You want to be in that 10, 12, 14 foot depth range. And really, you can look for bait. Oh, ouch. If you don't have forward-facing sonar, you can just find schools of bait and mark a waypoint and then cast into it as best you can. You don't have to be so pinpoint accurate with your cast in the summertime because, like I said, bass are often out of their cover. They're going to see your lure more often. They're going to track it down, and they're going to come off their structure, right? So you don't have to be so tight to the structure and cover with your crankbaits. And if you have forward-facing sonar, you can just go find grass, and if there's or wherever your region has, wherever the bait stays, right? Look for bait in that depth and then just cast out to it. Next is the, we'll do the chatterbait actually. This is a chatterbait. This is a chatter bomb, I think. You can fish it with a skirt if you want. I don't, but you can. All right, you could put like a creature bait on it. Just like a jig. It's a bladed jig. And you could probably fish this in a variety of different ways. You could probably jig this if you wanted to. You could rip it up and let it flutter down, right? Like you could do that. I don't do that. I just swim it, kind of like a swim bait. And in the summertime when that water is warm and or getting warmer, I like to be in like, I'll burn it by docks or dock pilings, timber that I see above water, right? I'll burn it by there. But I'll also just fish it in open water if there's grass and I know there's some bait in that grass. I'll just, I'll be in like that 3 foot range and cast out to 8 feet of depth and then just bring it up the hill. I would say go light. Don't go too heavy. They make them in different sizes. I keep them light because if you put a trailer on there, it's pretty heavy and they sink pretty fast. And you have to retrieve them as fast as possible. And I like a more slow retrieve to give bass a chance to see it and track it. And hopefully you're bringing it to some type of structure, right? And so they'll strike it at that structure. And again, I use 12-pound fluoro for these just because the bass are so strong offshore. I mean, as soon as you get away from docks, those bass are they're really, really strong. But it's great. I mean, you have to retie every bass you catch and then check this hook, make sure it's still sharp. Maybe use a file. I have to start looking into files. It might be worth it for these, but when they dull out, I might keep the skirt. Pretty much throw the rest out. All right. And lure number 3 is the classic spinnerbait. This is great for the summertime. It's really easy, and the chatterbait too. You huck it out and you retrieve it, right? I would say keep it light. Don't go too heavy because you can put a trail on just like the chatterbait, and then that gets heavy, and then you have to fish it really fast, right? But
little guy.
So look for a lighter one, so you can fish it slower. It might sink slower and take a little bit of time to get down, but if you can fish it slower, I think it's better. Vary your colors. I believe bass remember your colors, so you want a variety of different colors. You can fish it with a trailer or not. Whether you use the teardrop or the leaves or gold or silver, I would say vary it all up. Buy them all, right? I don't think there's any.
Not that big.
This bass hammered. This lure hammered today. I got like 3 or 4 bass today with this. It was a lot of fun. And spinner baits are great too, and chatterbaits to a certain degree, but especially spinner baits. If you have forward facing sonar, you can fish these to like 14 feet. They still work. They still have action. It's pretty cool. But they're also, if you know how to fish it, you can fish them in 1 or 2 feet of depth. They're very versatile. They're a lot of fun. You have to retie every bass you catch. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to snip this because I just caught a bass off it. So, because if you don't, it'll snap off.
It's not really that big. It's just strong.
Yeah, just like the chatterbait, I'm going to check that hook. It is dulling out. I probably caught 5 or 6 bass off this now. So I have to look into a file and see if it's worth it or just buy it.
Really not that big
most
at all?
of them are like $6.
This guy's got super bass strength. He's
So
2.5 pounds at the most. I'm not even gonna weigh him, but
that's it. Those are the 3 lures that you can just slam a lot of bass on
extra heavy pole.
in the summer.
That's insane.
The whole idea though is that it's really kind of the water temperature. And what I noticed is that when the water stays the same temperature or gets warmer, basically for at least 3 days in a row, that's when that bite really turns on. That's when they're really out of their cover and off their structure. They'll track everything down. It starts on the 2nd day of like a heat wave, but that 3rd day, as long as if you can go 3 days without a cold front, that's when these lures really shine. But when cold fronts come, man, that shuts everything down. Yeah, that water temperature drops. That shuts everything down. And then you gotta go more vertical or slower. You gotta find, you can't burn these. It's not that you won't get a strike, it's just that you'll get less strikes, right, on a cold front when that water temperature drops. All right, that's it. Smash like, subscribe. Appreciate it.